Yeah, I kicked his ass to the curb with a quickness. He had a little D anyway. A little D and a herpes?
Yellow diamonds look like PP. Bitches fly from DC on my private.
She'd only ever really dated one guy, a hip-hop producer named Trevor Banks, though she'd gotten busy with plenty. Her father didn't like the way Trevor's jeans sagged in the seat. For Christmas, Daddy had given him a belt. Lena had graduated from Meadowcrest 2 years behind schedule because she'd been kicked out of 4 other private schools. For graduation, Daddy had suggested she go on an all expenses paid year-long overseas trek with other friends so she could, as he put it, expand your narrow hip-hop obsessed vision of the world. To Marlon, popular music meant jazz and Motown soul. Rap was not music. In his estimation, it was insolent noise that glorified criminality, degraded women, and broadcast a negative image of African Americans to the world. Sensing that the find yourself trip was just a way for him to get rid of her for a year, Lena declined. He was always so busy with his work, and packing her off to India or wherever would make his life just swell. Whenever she was in a pinch, she'd invoke the name of her mother, Nancy, who died of ovarian cancer during her freshman year. Marlon had the Nancy Whitaker Research Fund up and running 6 months earlier, and the annual gala was a hot ticket on the charity circuit. The sympathy bid would work, and Marlon would back off some, but the truth was, Lena had been buck-ass wild well before her mother's death. She told Daddy she would, in fact, take him up on the all-expenses-paid year off, but she'd spend the year in the New York apartment and set her own schedule. What she didn't tell him was that she didn't really have any good friends to invite. Certainly not anyone who'd want to spend an extended period of time traveling third world countries with her, volatile as she was. After that standoff, Marlon had threatened, "You have 1 year, Marlena. Get it together, or I'm cutting the purse strings. I mean it this time." That was 8 months ago, and Lena hadn't gotten it together in the least. She shopped, lunched, partied, got drunk, and slept late, struggling to get herself up and out of the family's Park Avenue Classic 8 to do anything at all. Lena's only real goal in life was to snag a famous boyfriend. Now that she had Crazy G hooked, all she had to do was reel him in. Oh, and one small snag. He needed to become famous. He would. She was sure of it. He was a gifted lyricist, well on his way to stardom. Lena looked at it this way. Get to the party early before the VIP gets crowded. She got out of the elevator and made a left. She'd never been to this place when Lamont had lived there. He'd asked her to show his new artist the ropes in New York, and she was happy to do it. This was just what she needed, a new friend. Someone who didn't know how she regularly got trashed in the papers for getting fall down drunk at some party. Anyway, that was all over. She was turning over a new leaf starting today. She walked to the end of the hall before realizing she should have made a right. She walked back and she reached to ring the bell of 7C. The door swung open, and there was Mimi, smiling. Lamont wasn't just hyping her up. She was hot. Do y'all remember Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton? Remember when they was just running around town, like spending money, hunching, and I think it was Paris Hilton, Nicole Richie, and Kim Kardashian. And they were the it girls because of their family money. It was like they were socialites. Paris Hilton, she didn't want none of that hip hop meat. She didn't want none of it. Neither did Nicole. Her white side wouldn't allow it. But Kim Kardashian, baby, I'm telling you. By the time they'd strolled to a little cafe called Tartine on West 4th Street and ordered lunch, Mimi had gleaned a wealth of personal information from Lena Whitaker. She was a recent high school graduate who was taking a year off to explore her options. Mimi wondered what her definition of recent was, since Lena also said she'd just turned 21. You missed my party. It was the shiz. Her father worked mostly in Los Angeles, but Lena did not go into what kind of work he did. She lived uptown in her family's apartment with no adult supervision except for her family's longtime housekeeper. Her older sister, Alexandra, got on her nerves. She's getting her MBA from the Wharton School of Business. La di effing da. She had a boyfriend, a rapper named Crazy G, whom she had met in Miami. Bitch, you want to eat all that? Lena shrieked when the waitress put a gargantuan grilled chicken and portobello mushroom sandwich with a mountainous side of fries in front of Mimi. A woman sitting alone at a nearby table in the tiny bistro glanced over, obviously wondering why this pretty young girl was being called out as a bitch. Mimi winced slightly, but Lena just scooped up a handful of fries and prattled on. People didn't talk that way in Toledo, at least not the people Mimi knew, but she'd noticed a lot of people here did. When Imani had run into a friend as they were leaving Republic, a noodle shop on Union Square, the friend asked if she had found a man yet. She'd replied, "Bitch, please." Ali C had ended a cell phone conversation with a female rapper she represented by saying, "Bitch, don't get me started." Lamont and his male cronies had a longer list of terms from which to choose when addressing one another. Mudahoochie, money, pimp, playboy, player. Mostly, they just fell back on the timeless ninja. Mimi realized that when Lena said, "bitch," she was using it as a synonym for girlfriend. It was all about context, but she wasn't yet used to being on the receiving end of such language. Hence, her involuntary wince. I mean, me and my Judys use the term itch all the time. Hell, my sister's an itch. My BFF is an itch. Itch. Girl, let me tell you something. But you know when somebody's calling you an itch lovingly. And you know when somebody say itch when they trying to throw them hands. You know the difference. Okay? So I ain't worried. Itch don't bother me. Unless you saying it in a way that would cause havoc and melee in my life and in my consciousness. So how do you know Lamont exactly? Mimi asked. Lena was almost young enough to be his daughter. Were they close friends? I been knowing Lamont, Lena answered with a self-satisfied smile. Truth was, Lamont had taken a 17-year-old party-hopping Lena into his crew as a mascot of sorts because he was hoping to get close to Marlon Whitaker, one of the most respected men in the entertainment industry. Y'all, who is this? Like, is this Kidada Jones? Because it easily could be. She'd managed to maintain her position by keeping Lamont entertained with her wild antics. I get invited to all parties. Lena shoveled a forkload of goat cheese salad into her mouth. Only A-list. Nah, I mean, I know everybody. I bet you do. I bet you do. You look like you do. Or you sound like you do. You know who I think is super fine, Mimi said, hoping Lena knew this person? That model, Omar LaRue. He was in those Tommy Hilfiger ads, you know? Ooh, what's that dude? Tyson Beckford. Lena put up a go no further hand and exposed a mouthful of half-eaten salad as she said, I don't just know him, I had him. See what I mean? God damn, bitch. You could tell an old hoe with money that hunches everybody. Whew. Adam, I was effing around with him for a hot minute. No, Mimi choked. Lena nodded, stabbing at her salad. Yes, I think he's so hot. So did I, Lena said blandly. What happened? He kept trying to do me raw. Mimi looked puzzled, and Lena thought this girl needs to get a translation book if she's going to be rolling with the TLE squad. Raw, without a condom, and then I found out he gave his ex the herpes. No, Mimi gasped. Lena said with a disgusted curl of the lip. I mean, it happens. The herpes happens. That's what happens. So I mean, don't the usher got it? Ain't none of you hoes gonna stop trying to get at him or pulling on him. Okay? The people would love to say, I had herpes. I caught it from Usher. And this ninja has the nerve to come out with, I haven't had an outbreak in 2 months. You believe that? Unbelievable, Mimi snorted. So I told him, look, player, I don't care if the shiz is active or inactive. This is information I need to know. She sucked her teeth. Ninjas ain't shiz. I am so glad I never let him touch me without a rubber. Girl, you stupid girl. You can get the herpes with a rubber. You can get that. Suppose it's not on his ding-dong. Suppose it's on his balls. And his balls is, active. And then it keeps popping against your coochie hole. Your booty hole. Girl, that's crazy to me. So, that was it. Mimi asked, wondering just how many people Lena had. Yeah, I kicked his ass to the curb with a quickness. He had a little D anyway. A little D and a herpes? A little diseased pickle, Mimi added, gleefully taking part in the man bashing. Who would have thought Omar LaRue could look that good and be that nasty? Kinda like Jamal. Men were such pigs. I saw him on a huge billboard yesterday on Houston Street, Mimi said, pronouncing the street's name as one would the city. Where? Houston Street? Houston? Lena corrected. Houston? Yeah, I saw it. She leaned towards Mimi and cracked. And I know for a fact those briefs are stuffed. Nah, I mean. I know exactly what you mean, Mimi concurred, finally figuring out the standard English transition of nah mean. The waitress came over for dessert orders, and Lena automatically said, nothing for me. Mimi pointed out a nasty-looking apple tart in the bakery-style display case, and then without prodding, Lena said, well, okay, one for me too. I really like your hair, Mimi said, admiring Lena's short Halle Berry-style pixie. Lena touched it unsurely. Really? I just had it cut. For the first week, I kept thinking it was up in a ponytail. Then I would put my hand up there and realize I'm damn near bald. She drove into the tart as soon as the waitress put it down. Uh-oh. We gonna have some problems with bulimia. I can see that coming. It looks really good on you, Mimi reassured her. Thanks. And speaking of hair, we have to do something about yours. Lena pulled a Palm Pilot out of her Louis bag. I spoke to Rod at James Scott. Who? Mimi interjected, slightly disoriented by all the unfamiliar names coming at her. Rod, James, Scott. Who? Lena looked up. My hairstylist, Rod Horton, at the James Scott Salon. He usually doesn't have immediate openings, she said. But I told him you were a close friend. Lena smiled at her own pool. Mimi was getting more confused. This was the first time they'd met. Lena hadn't even known what her hair looked like until today. Exactly. The hell is going on here? Lamont told me to handle the hair situation, Lena said in response to Mimi's befuddled look. She was thrilled when Lamont told her to befriend Mimi, get her acquainted with the hip-hop scene, and do something about her hair. Now Lena actually had things to put on her to-do list. Oh, Mimi murmured. Lamont hadn't said anything to her about the hair situation. He said your hair was too... Lena made quotation marks in the air, neo-soul. She paused, then regretfully added, I see what he means, boo. She tilted her head to get a look at Mimi's bushy ponytail. Can you even run a comb through that? Only when it's wet with a lot of conditioner. Yeah, you need a relaxer or at least a good flat iron, Lena said. Rod will decide. He'll be back from Disney World in a few days. He went to Disney World with his kids. He has a few boys, Lena cracked. But they ain't kids. He went down for a gay day. Gay day? Yeah, Lena said. You know how they like to party? Right, Mimi said vaguely. Getting her hair relaxed sounded good. She never wore her hair loose because she looked like Shaka Khan. Are you going to come with me? Sure will. Lena put away her palm. What day are you going shopping with Vanessa? Shopping? Mimi said, lost again. Who's Vanessa? Boo-boo! Lena screamed as if all this information were front page news known by everyone. Lamont's sister-in-law? She's taking you shopping? She is. No one from the label scheduled with you? No. Well, Vanessa could go all day. I can't keep up with her, so I might sit that out. Are you friends with Daryl? Wouldn't say friends, Lena answered sourly. I don't think he likes me, Mimi said, hoping Lena could tell her what his deal was. Don't take it personally, Lena said breezily, having an internal debate about whether she should order another tart. She joined the Crunch gym 3 blocks from her apartment because she wanted to firm up. But in 2 years, she'd never been able to motivate and get over there. Does he call you Shorty? I don't remember. He will, Lena said. A lot of guys say that. What up, Shorty? You know? Whatever. If anything, it's a compliment. Like, what's up, cutie, or something. But pay attention the next time Daryl says that to you. He says it with such venom. Like it's a put down or something. I guess because everyone has been saying that to him all his life. He has a severe short man's complex. But I try so hard to be nice to him. He's going to be producing my album. How should I deal with him? Lena had already decided she and Mimi were going to be best friends. But with this question, Mimi scored many bonus points. Mimi was the new hot girl on TLE. The girl that Lamont was banking on, and Miss Stang was deferring to her. As Mimi stared at her wide-eyed, Lena gave the question considerable thought. She felt like the all-knowing Wizard of Oz to Mimi's Dorothy. In the distance, she heard a dog barking. Toto?